Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. This is the daily chart of gold priced in euros provided by netdenia.com. You can click on the link below. A fairly consistent and typical pattern that we have here. Clearly a strong bull market pattern. You can see it seems to be just a simple stair step of three stair step consolidations here. You've got one here, and we'll draw it from down here. So you can see the breakout of that is where the move came, and you've got another one right about here, and you can see the breakout, same thing. And now we've got the current one, which the current one does not quite equal the length of the previous two, which is, this one here is about 9 months. This one is a little over a year, and this one here, well, we're coming on a year. So the largest is over a year, less than a year. They're all about the same, but you can see from the pattern here that it's clearly a bull market. It really doesn't show any weakness. The pattern is a breakout to run up to a new high, and then after that a consolidation with these consistent higher lows. You've got one here, 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 and here, here, here. Here's another one here. So we're making these higher lows, and we're expecting the next breakout. You can see from the past two, our base was roughly, the top I should say, was roughly 800. You can see we moved about 1,050, about a 20+% move. This one from about 1,000 we moved to about 1,350. So that one is about a 30% move or so. So say 20 to 30% move. This one's going to have a top of around, we'll just say 1,370. So a 20% move is going to be up to about 1,500–1,600 euros, and it could be higher than that. So looks like we're setting up for a significant move in gold priced in euros. Now, of course, gold priced in dollars doesn't have the exact same pattern, but it is shaping up to look like another move higher. We're still consolidating off of that September smackdown and just building a base here, although we are rounding up. And as I pointed out before, when we go out to the weekly and pull up the MACD, we can see we're right at that critical crossing point. The silver, we're still approaching that point. We're just almost touching crossover in silver, kind of making an interesting W formation in the MACD, if that's what ends up happening. Let's jump over to the national debt clock. This is actually, if you go to the debt clock, they have a bunch of clocks over there. This is the main debt clock, and this is the one for the national debt. You can see we're approaching the $16 trillion mark right there, and 15,917. Now at the bottom you have these other charts that they've done here, and this one is the gold precious metals one. So a couple of things I wanted to point out on this one. On the left here, there's gold holdings by country in ounces, which I don't think you can put much stock in that. And then there's world precious metals production, and you can see that they're incrementing, and you can see the ratio there between gold and silver. So I don't know what these estimates are based upon, and I strongly doubt that these are accurate, but just as a point of reference, the first thing that stands out here is you can see that the production of gold so far this year would be 50 million ounces, while the production of silver is less than tenfold of that. And so then when we go over and we look at the precious metal reserves, they're saying that there's a reserve of 1.6 billion ounces of gold and 16 billion ounces of silver. Now, that one really struck me. You can see that that number is dropping rapidly, but how they could come up with 16 billion. Now, if you think about the number on gold, for the most part, the reserves are going to be everything that's been mined. They're obviously not going to be counting jewelry, but as far as bullion, the vast majority of whatever's been mined since mining began is going to be represented in this figure. And the same thing would hold true for silver. So the first question you have to ask, we know that the gold that has been mined since the beginning of time is still with us in a reserve form. And of course the reason why is because the price is high enough that there's a very strong incentive to recycle it. So, and gold isn't used that much in electronics. It is used some, but the gold that is used in electronics is not that difficult to recover and tends to be recycled because of the price. Silver, on the other hand, is just not economical at this point to recycle. A lot of it, a large amount of it, ends up in landfills. So the question that one would have to ask is, are they considering these landfills reserves? Because this 10-to-1 ratio is holding here. They're saying we have 10 times the reserves in physical silver that we have in physical gold. I actually think that number is off by a factor of 10. I believe that we have less reserves in silver ounce-wise than we do actually in gold. But nevertheless, it is interesting to see that it is only being pulled out of the ground at a less than a 10-to-1 ratio. So that's some food for thought. Now, I wanted to take you over to a story that hit a couple days ago. This is the report of Samsung's second quarter earnings, and the smartphone business propels $41.5 billion in revenues and $6 billion in profits. So I'll read a little bit of this. Samsung has just reported its second quarter 2012 earnings. It would seem that the Korean electronics giant is still the king of mobile, with an operating profit of $5.9 billion for the period, up 79% year over year. Of course, the Galaxy S3 and the Galaxy Note have plenty to do with that, considering Samsung predicted it would sell 10 million Galaxy S3 units by July. And that's just what it did. The company reported $41 billion in revenues, which is up $1.5 billion from last quarter and up 21% year over year. Samsung is killing in the TV department, though the company does report that demand stays relatively the same year over year. Even still, the company's increased shipments and profitability, and the demand for LED TVs in emerging markets helped Samsung increase its portion of LED TV sales from the mid 60% range to a mid 80% share quarter on quarter, according to the release. Memory chips and processors were down a bit from last year, but the real shining star was the phone business, which brought in a $3.64 billion in profit. So there does not appear to be any kind of a slowdown as far as the mobile phone market and other mobile devices. And all of these devices use silver, and it's still at the prices that we're at. It is just simply not economical to recover that silver. So that's another piece of evidence that throws into doubt that $16 billion ounce reserves. I just don't think there's anywhere near that number in reserves. Clearly, they're somewhere on the earth, but I think the vast majority of that 16 billion ounces is now in landfills. We're going to ultimately find out when we hit the wall, when the demand for silver, for physical silver, exceeds the supply. At some point, we're going to find out what the state of those reserves are and how easy they are to call up. And my guess is they won't be. I know that I'm not planning on parting with any silver for any of the prices that we're at now, or anywhere even a multiple of those. So I suspect that the vast majority of silver stackers feel the same way. They're not looking to make 10 or 20 or 30% profit. They're looking to make 10, 20, or 30 fold moves in the price of silver. And let's look at the price of silver here on the APMEX site. I decided to cover the America the Beautiful coin series again. Now, this is not one of my favorites, but it's just stunning how low the prices are. Now, there's 3 years here. There's they release, I believe they release 5 coins each year. This is the first year of this series. This is a 2010, and I believe there was a lot of hype with that one. That may be the reason why these prices are so high. You can see that the price on these 5-ounce ones were at, I didn't check the figures that APMEX has. There's only 32 of those, but we're at $224 for this first year release, and these are going to be the ones that apparently have some collector value at this point. There's only 2 of the Yellowstone left, and maybe because of the parks they chose. You can see there's Mount Hood in Oregon, there's Hot Springs in Arkansas, Yosemite, Grand Canyon, and Yellowstone. So this is the big year, the first year, and they're running roughly $224, $234 or so. Now, when we get out to the next year, this is where we see apparently a glut because of the pricing on these. The 2011, let's sort these by price. And the 2011 are running about $152, $153. You can see the Glacier, Olympic, Vicksburg, Chickasaw, and Gettysburg. These are all $152, $153. So you're getting 5 ounces of silver. You're paying about $30 an ounce. They're saying $279 and $299 per ounce above spot. So what do the Eagles run? Maybe $2, $2 to $3. So if these end up being as rare, and I don't know if there's what the mintage is on these, but if these do end up being as rare as the first year's series, then that seems to be a can't lose scenario, considering that you're getting these coins for very, very close to what you can get any other bullion coin for. And then the last group is the 2012 coins, and these are also going to be right at that 152 price range. You've got the El Yunque from Puerto Rico, the Chaco one, and the Acadia National Park. That's coming out August 10th, and we'll do the numbers on those. So they've got about 2,300 of those, 400 of those, and 185 of those. So apparently there's 2 more left for this year to come out, and I don't know what those are going to be, but seems to me to be quite the deal, because regardless of whether or not these coins end up having any kind of numismatic premium to them, you're getting them as cheap as you can get anything else. You're not, I mean, you can get junk for lower and you can get bars for lower, but if you're talking about coins and you're interested in coins, you're not really going to get much better than the $2.79 per ounce over spot. That's going to be a really good deal. So I haven't picked up any of these, but I'm going to keep a close eye on them. Certainly, if we get a drop that some are expecting, some are still predicting that we're going to get the drop to test this point. Down around 21, 22 with the old Bear Stearns high. I have serious doubts as to whether we're going to get that low. I really don't think we'll get down even to the 25, but I could be wrong, and if that's the case, these America the Beautiful series coins could be a real deal if the prices drop, if the premiums stay just at $2.79 an ounce above spot. Those could end up being a great buy, and we'll talk to you next time.